Hey, I'm Archie. This is the deep tissue roller leg session. We're going to start with the heel, and we're going to move up the kinetic chain of the whole leg. So we start at the calcaneus. We're going to do some calf work, do some shin work. We're going to do some work up the hamstrings. We're going to work on the IT band, the glutes, the quadriceps, and a little bit of the low back and the sacrum. The lower part of the low back. What we're looking to do in this session is we're looking to go through the whole kinetic chain of the leg, and we're going to walk you through it. I'm going to just do it on one leg, but you can do it on, whatever leg you want and whatever area you have a problem with. This is going to be broken up into chapters, so you can skip to the chapter for the specific area you want. But if you've got the time, I would really encourage you to walk through the whole thing to get a sense of just kind of going through the whole leg and getting a feeling for where the tension is, right? So like if you've got hamstring pain, it's probably a good idea to work on the hamstring, but also like the stuff above and below the hamstring can really be affected even though it's not hurting. So it's a good idea to do a check-in, right? Like you don't have to spend a ton of time on these areas if something isn't sensitive or it doesn't feel like there's a lot of tension there, but like a scan of the area is a really good idea. And this is going to walk you through how to do that scan. If there's something that feels super sensitive, you're going to want to spend a little bit more time on it. But the exploration is so important. In my work, we do these sessions that extend through these entire areas of the body. We trace what Tom Myers calls anatomy trains. So this is like the beginning part of the superficial backline in that theory. And the idea is that, let's use the hamstring as an example. If you have hamstring tension, there could be this tension that is reflected all the way down the foot, up the heel, up the calf, up the hamstring, up the glute, and although we're not going to go into it today, farther up the back and even into the neck. So we're going to scan a portion of this line. We're going to go, from like the low back down to the heel, and we're going to use the deep tissue roller in a way that it's really very effective. Take your time. Remember to pay attention to the sensations in your body. So if something is a sharp pain, that's not great. You want to stop. If you've got electrical sensation shooting down your leg, that's a nerve sensation. Shooting pains, electrical pains, these are all sensations that we want to try to avoid. So what we're looking for is like a dull ache, an intense sensation that still has a seed of pleasure in it. We really want to look for the pleasure when we're doing this work. So even though something's intense, I want you to focus on your breathing while you're working on it. And the more intense it is, the more you want to focus on that breath. And you're going to look for the positive sensation in the feeling. And by focusing on that sensation, you're going to create more of that sensation in your body. And you're going to allow your muscles to relax and release. The more that we focus on the pain or that we really try to push through the pain, the less we're going to relax and we're going to create more pain. So we really want to create more pleasure in our body by looking for that seed of pleasure, especially in intense sensations, not judging those sensations, right? So an intense sensation is a lot of sensations, and that can be good, that can be bad, it's somewhere in between. We want to be making sure that we have a sensation that has that seed of pleasure still in it, and we want to try to go into that sensation in a non-judgmental place, notice our breathing, and focus on what feels good about it, and search for that good feeling as those muscles are releasing. That's what allows the muscles to relax and release. That's also what retrains our nervous system. Modern fascial research has shown us that the nervous system is such an integral part of changing fascia, that it's not just this mechanical change that we're looking for, but we're actually looking for our nervous system to relax in order to allow the fascia to relax. So that's why paying attention to your breathing, deep, relaxed inhales, taking time on the areas that are intense. We need at least 20 seconds for muscles to release and up to 2 minutes for the fascia to change. And you're going to feel that change happen in your body. And the more you do it, the more you'll be able to recognize when that fascial sheet, which is like this long piece of tension, just sort of softens a little bit. It gets lax, it gets relaxed. You'll feel the whole leg just whew. That's when you know that you've made a change that's deep and that's at the fascial level. So let's move through it. We're going to start first with the heel, and we're going to move up the leg. So for me to start with the heel, I'm going to have my roller just a little bit apart. For me, that's a good width. The way that we're going to be able to tell that is that I'm going to put it in this triangle position here. I'm going to open it with my hands a little bit. I'm going to put my heel in between the two. So right now you can see it's a little bit on the posterior side, on the back of the heel. That's a fine place for it to be. I could close this a little bit more together and it's going to access a little bit different part, or I could widen it a little and it's going to be deeper. So here I can just sit here and roll up and down the heel. I like putting my leg on the other leg. And right now all I'm using is the weight of my legs. I'm not really engaging much. You can push into it if you want. But if I really want to engage more, I want to put more weight into the device, I'm going to use my hands, and I'm going to just lift my butt off the floor a little bit, and I can continue to go back into these movements here. So real simple stuff. Can move up. So once I find a spot that feels sensitive, oh man, that right there feels great to me. The device is cupping my heel, and it's below my ankle. Just be careful about this rope. It kind of stays out of your way, but it's not something you want to be working on your flesh with. The other thing to think about is the rope below me, so the rope that's down here. I don't really want to be giving myself rope burn on that, so if I've got a feeling of rolling on the rope there that is uncomfortable, I want to close the roller a little bit more so if I close the roller a little bit more, my calcaneus, my heel, is going to be a little bit higher and is going to avoid that rope. So here, I can just sit here. This feels really good. And, it doesn't have to feel crazy to create a change. Right now, I feel like a change is happening. If I'm from the side, let's just show you my position a little bit better. If I'm on the side, I'm right here, and I'm just crossed over like this. And I'm just going to sit for a minute. I can feel a stretch down my calf. In this position, the roller is pinching my calcaneus, my heel, and it's offering like a subtle stretch all the way up the back of my leg. I feel it behind my knee even because I have a lot of hamstring tension. And this really feels great. And I could just sit here. This is one of those positions where I can sit in for 2 minutes. And I'm not just focusing on what's happening at the roller, but I'm focusing on the sensation all the way up the back of the leg. If I want to lean forward, I can increase the stretch. And for me, this doesn't feel very intense, but all I'm doing is leaning forward, what is that? That's 4 inches forward. And suddenly I feel an intensity down the back of my leg. I like it for people to keep their back straight here so they're not rounding the back, so that we're focusing that stretch on the actual leg muscle itself and not just stretching out the back, which has some value too, but that's not what we're trying to do today. It's a leg session. So I can pull my butt off the ground as I was doing earlier, and I can move back and forth. Oh my God, that feels great. And then the other thing I can do here is flex my foot. So I'm going to flex up and down. And right now I'm moving with that foot flexion. So my butt is just scooting a little bit on the ground. I'm off, my weight's out of my butt, but my butt is touching the ground. I can have my butt on the ground completely and just do the foot flex, and then my body's not moving relative to the roller. It's more happening at the ankle. I'm just doing a rotation of the foot here to free up the metatarsals from the calcaneus. So in this situation, I'm keeping the heel stable, and I'm moving the bones in front of the heel relative to the heel. This is a really good exercise if you have flat feet. This will start to engage the arch on the medial side. So this is a little less about myofascial release, although it's happening, but it's also about really getting these muscles limbered up and strengthening the muscles that strap underneath the foot. And those muscles can help to get that arch working again. And then again, I'm going to do the flexing. This is the gas pedal movement, as I'd like to call it in classes that I would teach with them. And then we're going to move up a little bit more. So I'm going to scoot my butt forward. And now I'm working on my Achilles. So the same thing, I can do the same movements with my Achilles. I can put more weight into my Achilles by scooting my butt off the ground or by just crossing the leg over. And I'm just going to sit here and take my time. We're not in any rush. This device is best used when you're just taking it easy. Maybe you put on some television that you don't have to pay too close attention to. This is a good opportunity for reality TV. Or you're just quiet and taking your time in a meditative headspace. Whatever you need to do to be able to just relax and not be in a rush. That's the key with any kind of myofascial release. I'm going to move a little bit more up the leg. Oh yeah. So as I move, moving is great, right? I like moving on the device, but I want to go slow and I want to wait for the tissue to release. I don't want to flex my leg and move. I want to try to keep my leg relaxed. And it's almost like I'm just going to push the leg with my arms here as opposed to try to move my leg using the muscles, which, you know, isn't the end of the world, but like I really like this relaxed position. And again, I'm going to keep doing the foot movement as I put weight in. Here you're going to see what it's doing to the muscle right there, right? So this is the soleus muscle, and this is the gastrocnemius behind it. So right now, what we're doing is we're opening up the space between the soleus and the gastrocnemius. These two sides are pinching in, and there's two muscles that sit next to each other. So what we're looking to do here, as I'm doing the movement especially, is we're looking to get into the margins of those two muscles. So they're sandwiched on top of one another. This is pinching that sandwiching. Which is giving a little bit of space. The pinch kind of opens up that septum in between the two muscles. And then when we start to move them across one another. So what we're doing is we're creating a shearing force inside the muscles. And what's the septum in between the muscles? What's in there is fascia. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to open up the fascial space in between those muscles and allow those two muscles to slide relative to one another internally. This is something that Ida Rolf called holding muscles where they belong and inducing movement. So in this case, I would like for my gastrocnemius, which is the superficial bulgy part of the calf, to be held so that it's not moving relative to the soleus, which sits right above it, which is this bulge right here. It's this big, wide, long muscle. Gastrocnemius is the two heads. I pinch the gastrocnemius, and I try to move the soleus relative to the gastrocnemius. So if I wanted to work more on the front of the soleus, I'm going to open this up a little bit more so that it's pinching a little bit more towards the front. And now I'm holding the soleus muscle with the device and using my foot movement. What that means is that now I'm trying to, oh yeah, it feels deeper. So now the seam that we're working on is in between the soleus and the tibia. And that is the same thing. We're creating a shearing force, we're doing the movement, we're holding one while we're moving the other, and you know, it feels really good. There's also the peroneals on the outside that it's pinching. So this is all really good work, man. And if something feels super intense, I'm just gonna sit there and hang out. It's pretty good. Ooh, that is intense. Move again. Ooh. And here, oh yeah, so here we're kind of on top of, yeah, the shin there. So I'm going to rotate my leg out to the side so I can target those shin muscles. This is the tibialis anterior and the peroneals. And I'm just going to take my time, right? So right here, this feels like a really good spot. So I'm going to do some of that foot movement here. Maybe make some circles with my toes while I'm putting pressure right on this spot. And I'm going to hold that spot. Remember to hold these spots that feel tight for 20 seconds. So I can move a little bit on it, you know, but I'm moving real slow. And I'm allowing the tissue to regulate my movement. So I want to feel like the tissue is releasing as I move down the device. Woo, and I'm going to do a little bit more foot flexion. That feels really good. Now if you want, you can sit and do the same thing. And I can put my weight on the leg with my elbows here. It just depends on like your flexibility and your strength. The position I was in before requires a little bit of upper body strength. Not a lot, but this requires a little bit less. So as I push down on the leg, I'm leaning my whole body forward, so I'm leveraging my weight on the device. Oh yeah, I can even do that. Oh, that's nice. So I'm just hooking this ankle under this leg. So this is relatively passive.
It's just my body weight, and then I'm gonna put my elbow into this knee in order to get that body weight. And again, let me scoot over again. I can do the movement with my foot here, up and down. Woo, that is so deep. This is really great for runners. People that suffer shin splints can feel a lot of relief happening. Shin splints is a compartmental syndrome where the fascia around the lateral and anterior compartment of the shin gets really tight. So especially long distance runners, this feels so good to a long distance runner, especially with these foot movements. Woo, yeah, baby. That's nice. One of the things that happens with runners is the whole lateral leg gets tight. The body overstabilizes that lateral leg. So I'm in this position with my knee back. If you don't have that flexibility, just gonna bring the knee forward. This is fine too. You just kind of have to work with what your body can do. Now, in order to get straight onto that shin, I'm gonna have it at the same distance. I just wanna make sure that my tibialis muscle is the thing that I'm contacting on the outside. And on the inside, I'm gonna feel a little bit of the soleus, ideally, if I have the width correct on the device. So I'm gonna start here, right below. There's this little bump right here. That's your fibular head. You don't wanna necessarily put too much weight right on it. Again, you're gonna use your own body sensation to determine how much weight to transfer. We don't want any sharp pain. This should all feel kind of good, but also intense. So this is a pretty easy position if you have the flexibility to get here, because I'm just gonna sit like this. If I show you from the side, we're sitting like this. Right? That's it. Super easy. I could move my foot like I was doing before. I could bring my foot here. Especially if the foot starts cramping, it's nice to bring the foot into this position. And then I can just roll it while I'm pumping the foot. So these movements are super important because these movements engage the deepest lying muscles of the leg. So there's like the superficial pinning that's happening here on the outside of these muscles, and then the movement of the foot here is going to, so like I'm pinning the bone and the roller here, right? They're pinning those muscles between the bone and the roller. And as these things start to move, they start to shift these deep-lying fascial sheets that are pinched between these two muscles. Ida Rolf said, put things where they belong and induce movement. So this is straight out of Ida Rolf's playbook for structural integration, which is the bodywork that I practice. Now, if I want to be more lateral, if I want to feel more pressure on the outside, I'm going to shift my butt to the outside. The way that looks from the front is I'm shifting my butt to the outside. And then I can put some weight on it, and whoa, that's right. Those are the peroneals, which are right behind the tibialis anterior. This feels really good to my leg for sure. I played soccer my whole life. I'm a cyclist, and my legs, you know, they do. My mentor used to say, doing like this deep work feels like scratching an itch you can't get to. So there's this feeling inside that there's like something really important happening in the tissue, and that's scratching the itch, right? That's like you're getting to something that you can't normally access in everyday movement and in everyday life. So that's what we're really looking to do. So we're gonna move that up the leg. Now, one of the benefits to this product is that it's got these two blades on either side with this gap in the middle. So one of the areas that's really hard to work on are the attachment points. So there is the calf attachments feed up the leg. The hamstrings, though, feed down the legs and actually attach laterally here on either side of the knee. So normally, this is a endangerment spot, this popliteal fossa, what's called, right in the middle. So we don't want to put any pressure on that, but what we do want to do is put pressure on either side of it. If I angle these rollers perfectly so they sit right on those spots, oh my God, that is such a lovely sensation. It's really intense for me, and I'm not going to overdo it because that feels intense. So like right now, I'm not going to put the leg on. That's going to be too much. I'm going to just be here, and I'm going to relax my foot. I want to show you what I'm doing, but I'm going to relax my foot, and I'm going to I'm putting weight into my hands. I'm just slowly sliding my butt along my mat here. So I'm looking for those sore spots. And then when I find one, I'm just gonna hang out there, right there. So that's right above the popliteal fossa. Now it's feeling a lot less intense right here. So I'm actually gonna bring my weight forward because I'm putting my weight over the device. I'm gonna put my elbow on this here. For me, my leg wants to be like about here. And then I'm just gonna hang out. If I wanna intensify it, I'm gonna bring my heel off the floor. Bringing the heel off the floor is intensifying the sensation. I'm engaging my quadricep. When you engage the quadricep, the muscle on the front, the muscle on the back releases, right? Because as this one engages, this one lets go, right? So this subtle engagement can help release it. And I can let go of the engagement and go back into the engagement. I can even push down on my heel if I want to do a little PNF stretching here. PNF stretching is a type of stretching where you're like pushing against the stretch while you're in it and then relaxing. And it kind of tricks your nervous system into releasing that muscle. Now I'm going to go a little bit deeper. So again, hands on the ground. My butt's a little bit off the ground. And I'm going to just, yeah, that's nice. So now if I want to put more weight on the outside of the leg, I'm going to transfer my weight laterally. So one of the ways I do that is with my knee here. My weight is now on the, let me see if I can get this from the side. My weight is now on the outside of my body. I'm rolling my body to the outside. And this feels like it's hitting right behind the IT band. Now this position here is pretty great. Again, because of we got the stability here, and we got the blade of the roller here. And there's this little pocket. So the pocket we're looking for is right here. It's right behind the IT band, which is this rigid band that you can feel. And it's right in front of this stringy muscle here. This is the most lateral hamstring. So we're going to go right in that pocket. And my leg's going to be to the side. And I'm going to have my weight over it. So the bicep femoris is the most lateral, the most outside hamstring. The bicep femoris has a small head. The small head of the bicep femoris sits underneath the main tendon for the bicep femoris near the knee, like right above the knee. This is very hard muscle to address. Very tight, especially on people that do leg-based exercise like runners, and I played soccer most of my life. It's very tight on me. And oh my God, if this doesn't do the thing that is like hard to even do on yourself, like as a bodywork practitioner, I've been doing this deep structural integration work for 25 years. It took me years to figure out how to access this spot with my hands. This device gets it right there. It's got this this diagonal pressure. It's stable. I've just not found anything else that can address this guy. So this one, personally, right, I talk about sitting here for 20 seconds. I would be here for like 2 minutes on this one for myself because it's so tight. And I can move up as I scooch my butt along the ground, right? It's touching the ground, but I don't have much weight in it. And I can go all the way up. Ooh, and then that's another good spot. So I'm gonna relax. So as I'm moving, I'm engaging some of the muscles in order to make that movement happen. And then in order for me to get back to depth, I need to relax on that spot. And then I want to think about how many layers I'm trying to relax into on the hamstring here in order to let that tension go, right? And there's a lot of layers. So up to 2 minutes on these spots is really what you want to do. Oh yeah, I'm going to move on a little bit prematurely. I'd stay here longer, but it's a little boring for you to watch. And then I found another spot. And again, you can see this, right? This is my IT band. You see that line there? This is the device underneath the IT band in the soft tissue. When we're in the soft tissue, we're getting much more release than we would be getting directly on that IT band. So just so that I can show you the full range of options here. This is the other side. So this is the inside two hamstring muscles. The inside two hamstring muscles, semimembranosus and semitendinosus. These guys get really tight. Oh, and again, my whole weight is shifted to the left, and I'm even going to draw my knee to the left a little bit with my hand. I don't want to be on the kneecap. We don't want to put pressure on the kneecap. I'm right above it, and I'm putting my weight in, and geez Louise, that feels good. And then I'm going to extend even further, and depending on your range of motion, you know, this leg can be kind of doing whatever it wants. It doesn't really matter. But that is an amazing stretch. Can I tell you something? All right. At some point here, we're going to make it all the way up, right? You can go look through all of those sections to find this spot right here. Oh my God. So there's a sit bone here. It's called the ischial tuberosity. It's right here. It's that bony prominence that if you sit on a hard surface, you can feel. So right now, this device is on either side of that sit bone. For my sit bone, I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller. And, you know, you'll get an idea of what feels good after using the device for a while as far as the width is concerned. And now I'm on it. I'm completely over it. Whew. And the deep tissue roller is on either side of that ischial tuberosity. Now, I could put my leg down, but I really want to show you what I'm doing, so I have my leg up. It doesn't really matter, but that does feel super good. So I'm sitting on it. I'm on the sit bone. Woo! Now here, you're like next to the rectum. You don't want to be on the rectum, but right next to it is where that sit bone lies. And there's a muscle in there. Again, this is a really hard muscle to get to, even with body work, called the obturator internus. And it is on the inside. The ischial tuberosity is hooked like this, and it sits like this. You know, this is the front of your body. And the obturator internus is on the inside, and it is a deep hip rotator. Now, we're not like inside the ischial tuberosity here, but we're right on the outside of it, and we're affecting the fascia for that deep hip rotator. All right, the next part is going to be the glutes. So broader gluteal work, we're going to have it, again, it's pretty close together. You can put it closer or farther depending on what you want to target, but we're just going to start there because that's where we're at with the distance right now. And I'm just going to sit here. So the sacrum is the wedge-shaped bone in the back of your pelvis. The bottom of the sacrum is the coccyx. You don't want to put any pressure on the coccyx. But again, this device has a gap. So even if it's all the way together, the coccyx sits right there. And we can do work on the gluteal muscles. So I'm going to be here. So this is my position for doing this work as I'm on my back. I'm going to lift my butt up, and then I'm just going to place the device wherever I want it. So I'm going to put it right there. It feels great. Now, since the sacrum is a wedge-shaped bone, you're going to widen the device if you want to go higher up without being right on top of the sacrum. But, you know, being on top of the sacrum sometimes feels good, too. There's this lumbodorsal fascia, this very thick band of fascia, and it's nice to have it released on the sacral body itself, as long as you're being gentle with yourself. Anytime there's less soft tissue, you want to put a little bit less weight in to get the same result. Now for me, I can have my feet down, and this is just the weight of my pelvis, which feels good. But for me, I like to intensify that sensation by bringing the legs up. And remember, all of this work is really slow. So take your time, 20 seconds at least on a spot that feels tense. Spend your time. Next thing we're going to do is the IT bands. So again, this has this gap in the middle, which is where your IT band sits. We work on the tissue on either side of that IT band. I want to start with the hip. So the easiest way to do this is just sitting. So this is the hip work right here. If I'm up on it, ooh yeah, that feels nice. This does not require a lot of effort. This does not require you to be phenomenally strong or have flexibility. And then in order to crawl up on that, we're going to roll up the device. So these little blades of the roller, as I'm moving, sometimes want to shift, and I'm going to have to move them back into the place I want them. Like they'll they'll come together and they'll get a little close on the IT band. Well, we don't want to work directly on the IT band. We want to work on either side of it. So if that starts to happen, I just want you to adjust the roller. And I'm just going to move back into the camera position here. That's right. Oh, God, that one right there. And again, we're just going to sit on a spot that feels good. I'm going to use my foot here and my arm here to lift my body up off the ground. And I'm going to use my hand here to put some weight onto my knee. This is a good position. We can also, and this is a nice position because we can, this is a nice position because we can, what's the right word? And this is a nice position on the IT band because I have my foot and my hand here and my other hand here or here, so I can take weight off the device or I can put more weight on the device. Or if you want to go full bore, you've got your whole body weight here to mess with. This is much deeper. I can even put my foot up here to make it even deeper. That feels like too much to me. But if I put my foot on the ground and take my weight off of it, this is the way that I'm adjusting the weight. So these are both good positions to be in. Oh, like right there. I just want to sit there for a while. Then we got the quadriceps. The quadriceps is just going to be in this position. I'm going to lay down, and I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put my hand here with my face on my hand so I'm not laying on the ground. And this one's super easy. All I'm doing is I'm relaxing. If I bring my leg up, this intensifies the sensation by stacking weight over the device. I could even go crazy and bring all my weight up from on the device, and that's much more intense. But really, this is a good balance for my body. Now, if you're going up high on the hip, this is fine, but you want to avoid the inguinal crease, which is the hip crease right here. There's a tendon there. It's contraindicated to work on, and it's going to be painful in a sharp way, probably. But I can get, and we want to avoid sharp pain, but I can get about here comfortably without being on it. And then if I want to work this tissue up here, I'm going to do that from the side position, just like we were showing you before on the hip, just like we were doing with the IT band. And then if I roll forward, I'm getting a little bit more of the front of that. The TFL is the muscle there, Tensor Fascia Lata. Or I can move back and I can get more into my glutes behind the hip bone. That's the leg tutorial. I hope I have addressed all the areas that you may be wanting to work on. There's just infinite options on how to use the device. Please let me know if you have any questions. I want you to be careful with yourself. Make sure that you're paying attention to your body and listening to those signals that you may need to lighten up. Remember to make sure that you're feeling good when you're doing this work. There's some discomfort, which is normal and natural, especially when you have a lot of chronic tension. It should feel like a dull ache. You want to avoid things like sharp pain, shooting sensations, electrical sensations, tingling. If any of these come up, you should stop what you're doing and try to reassess how to approach that area. Sometimes that means working above and below the location. Sometimes that means you're on an endangerment area and you should just stop. Please ask me questions. I'm here to help. I want to be your guide on this journey for self-care.